Good Morning Kentucky starts now.
I want to show you something, Erica. Whenever snow mixes with rain, it creates what's called a wintry mix. Well, Erica, it's been a very long morning for Lexington police and Lexington fire crews. Now, if you take a look here, they still have the northbound lanes of I-75 blocked off right now, and there's still leftover damage laying on the ground. I've been out here on Winchester Road for about an hour now. Look at how much snow and ice has accumulated on my car. Driving through puddles like the ones that you see behind me can cause accidents. Take a look at this. There's pieces of cardboard, wood, and leftover damage laying here. I'm here on South Main Street, which is located in downtown Broadhead, where police tell me most of the flooding happened last night. Well, guys, first and foremost, hopefully it won't be as snowy as it is now. In fact, I'm standing here right now with a Solid Blue fan, Eddie Hewitt, who's been a fan of Kentucky basketball for nearly 40 years. Yeah, Erica, safety is the most important because you never know who's calling you from an unknown number.
No shots fired.
2 days of terror and carnage in 2 states. This after 2 mass shootings within hours of each other killed almost 30 people and injured a dozen others in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. It's a gruesome tragedy for many across the nation, and locals here in Lexington say they're concerned.
It's very scary to me because it doesn't, you truly never know what a person is dealing with. Shantae Jordan has friends that lives in Dayton, Ohio. She says when she heard what happened Sunday morning, she immediately picked up the phone. I checked up on them this morning. They are scared and shocked, but they're safe.
Governor Matt Bevin expressed his thoughts and concerns on Twitter saying, quote, "The hearts of Kentuckians break tonight with those of our fellow Americans in Texas." He went on to say, quote, "Yet another heartbreaking tragedy unfolded last night in our neighboring state of Ohio. We have a cultural and spiritual crisis taking place in America. To think otherwise is to turn a blind eye to reality. May God heal our land." We also spoke with Davita Hawkins, another resident here in Lexington that's concerned about gun violence. Listen to her thoughts.
Some mother, some father has lost a son or daughter. Some child has lost their mother or father, and for what? All the violence needs to stop.
I didn't think we was going to make it out. I thought we was going to die.
It was supposed to be just a normal day in the Moreland community, but Thursday, August 1st wasn't normal after a 30-inch gas line ruptured, causing a gas explosion that killed an elderly woman, injuring 5 others, and forced families to evacuate their homes. Denver Coulter lives in the area, one of many residents that were evacuated. Take a listen to what he remembers as he woke up out of his sleep.
I just remember waking up and it felt like somebody, I thought I was in the middle of a tornado. My first thoughts when I woke up because the noise and looking outside, I just thought I was in the middle of a tornado.
Kentucky State Police Trooper Robert Purdy says a Lincoln County deputy was injured in the explosion after rescuing an elderly man and woman. They were taken to the hospital and are expected to be okay. Trooper Purdy had this to say about the deputy being a hero.
Without him being there at the right time, we could have had more fatalities and casualties than what we had.
At one point, they were colleagues. Now they're opponents in a court of law.
This is, something that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see.
Lieutenant Governor Janine Hampton sued Governor Matt Bevin after his administration dismissed 2 of her staff members. Hampton filed the lawsuit in state court last Thursday. The suit claims that Hampton has the authority to hire and fire her own staff members.
No pay, we say.
That's 4 words of demand that Black Jewel coal miners shouted while blocking a train hauling coal in eastern Kentucky after protesting for days about getting paid back the money their now bankrupt company owes them. Black Jewel filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last month on July 1st. These coal miners haven't received a paycheck since then, some without benefits. Now they're demanding answers.
Ned, we just bid $7-8 million. We want our money back.
But that money won't come without Kentucky Attorney General Andy Beshear's office conducting an investigation on whether or not Black Jewel posted performance bonds to secure employee wages. Black Jewel didn't post a bond with the Kentucky Labor Cabinet when they filed for bankruptcy. The Attorney General says that Kentucky law requires any coal or construction business under 5 years old to pay the bond to cover payroll for 4 weeks. The Cabinet issued Black Jewel a citation including a $300,000 fine for violating the law. Despite the investigation, one of the miners' attorneys, Ned Pillersdorf, spoke with his clients during the protest in hopes to help them get their money back.
When are they going to open the mines? I don't know. How many they're going to employ? I don't know. How soon are we getting the money?
The answer to that question could come soon for these minors. Black Jewel says they plan to reimburse employees by collecting a per-ton fee, which is expected to accumulate more than $500,000 in the next 2 years. They say they also plan to pay workers $450,000. That money will come after a federal judge approved bids on August 6th from Copper Glow Mining, allowing them to purchase 2 of Black Jewel's mines.
If we're going to stop this from happening in our communities around our state, we've got to flex strong on this thing and make sure that kids get the message that we're not going to put up with it.
John Akers, executive director of the Kentucky Center for School Safety, isn't a fan of school threats. In fact, he has zero tolerance, no matter how big of a threat it is.
If it's just a little side comment, we're going to investigate this.
That's the reality now for several school districts in Kentucky after hearing reports out of Arkansas of a possible school shooting threat in Kentucky on August 28th and 29th. Superintendents from Bourbon County and Montgomery County schools sent these letters out to parents stating that their districts were aware of an unspecified internet threat against schools in Kentucky and Arkansas. Akers says spreading the message immediately to school officials statewide is the first way to ensure safety.
Anytime that there's a threat that I'm aware of, I push it out immediately out into the state to superintendents and to what we call SSCs, school safety coordinators, so that they get that information immediately.
The biggest concern for Akers is making sure parents are doing their part at home.
I think we need to look at our parents and say we really need your help on the home front to really teach your kids. Don't do these things, because when we had 1,400 of these things out there in our state, I think that's pandemic right there. And to me, I think parents need to get the message out to their children saying, if you're thinking about doing this stuff, don't.
I saw firsthand during the campaign, and I couldn't believe when I looked at certain states in particular how bad it was.
A morbid statement from President Trump during an address Wednesday after announcing a $1.8 billion funding plan to combat the opioid crisis. But a group of hospitals in Kentucky are battling with dozens of opioid companies about misrepresentation of benefits and dangers of the drug. 3 hospitals in South Central Kentucky filed a civil suit: Bowling Green, Pikeville, Madisonville, along with several county hospitals. That civil suit was filed in August. The suit alleges that the opioid epidemic has forced hospitals to add services, hire additional security, and provide increased training to staff. The suit names OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma, Johnson & Johnson, Walmart, and sellers of the drug. Several local governments and hospitals across the nation have pointed the finger at pharmaceutical companies, but President Trump's opposition to opioid companies correlates with the civil suit that Kentucky hospitals are now fighting for. The president says the battle is just now beginning.
We must continue fighting side by side to stop the menace once and for all. Together we'll save thousands and thousands of our fellow Americans and the families of so many people.